Hey, welcome back to the channel. I've got, I did just a couple of small things since you saw me last, which really just had to do with, I just got these, I put these on the top surface just because I had it exposed here. And this is for flying cub. Of course you were correct. Because I know you think in three-dimension like that, you know, when you line this up the way it was, there is a overhang that changes thickness as you go back. As you get to the peak of a curve that's falling away, it's definitely further back than out here. Anyway, I would once I get the bottom on, then I'll be able to come back. Then I'll be able to come back and trim these off. I'm still thinking about how I want to do that. I have a flush router that I can use, and got a couple different methods that might work. Maybe just cutting close with the Zona saw, and then going from there. The Aileron is you saw me put the finish on this inside part last time, and we were soaking this in water. And you can see the two boards that I have there, and all I did was when it was wet, put it in there, and then once it dried, this process is just the same as the wing. I varnished the inside where it needed to be, where we'll be putting epoxy in all of these areas where it's not. And this, of course, goes on the tip, so goes like this. This will go here, and we'll figure out how we're going to clamp that and do all that. Also, flying cub, I will say, putting this back in between these and letting the Varathane dry inside there made a huge difference in how much spring back was involved in this. The wing leading edge, it didn't have as big of an effect as it does on this smaller piece. So anyway, I'm going to get set up for what we're going to do, and then we'll be ready to get some things done. I want to get the leading edge on the Aileron. This piece that I have here, I'm going to get another piece in the tub so that it's soaking, and then before I leave today I'll be able to drop that in the form, and maybe I'll actually lay another board down here so I can drop the next two pieces in the form, which I'm going to do that for sure now that I think about it, because then I can just soak them at the same time and I can get those curved at the same time and not have to wait for that. And then since I have the top piece of plywood in here, I can now go back on the root end and start figuring how I want to get set up for the Lexan cover over the tank area. There's some more members that have to go in here, some RS-15 and some things, and then there's another brace over here that braces this rib on this side. But anyway, you'll see all that as we move along, and yeah, I'll get set up here and figure out what we're going to do. All right, so I've been figuring out how I want to proceed with this, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to epoxy the inside of this plywood here, and then I'll put the epoxy on the wing section. And then I will actually get this in place, and I'm going to just staple it first along this top piece here. Just start with like one at this corner, one at this corner, and then I'll just kind of get this one tacked in place. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stand it up and then use my bungees to get this tight, and then get some more staples in place. And then after I do that, then I will put the whole structure down on the bench, I'll probably have this hanging off the end here, but I'll get it down on the bench, and then I'll get my flat bars to weight it down while the epoxy sets. And I think that's going to be a good method. So, all right, let's get going on that. All right, so you can see I've already got one piece of that already put in between down there. I actually just used a heavy piece of angle iron, and the one, you kind of know that this is ready to bend when it's been in the water long enough. This has been in there for about 5 hours, so it's pretty pliable, and I just kind of gently work it. And actually I want to go this way. I just gently flex it a little bit, and that kind of gets it started good. And then I just start at one end and just kind of put it between here, and then I just work my way down, just getting it below the surface of the edges just to start with. And then once you get it all in there, you just force it down, make sure it's nice and flat to the table. And for the Aileron Leading Edge, that's all you need to do. So that will be a nice curve. And fit nicely. So one of the other things I want to show you, grab it here. So now that I've got the top plywood on here, you can actually see. I want to show you, like right down in here, this channel here. I'm going to actually fill that with a piece of 1/4 inch material. I'm preparing for the tank mouth, so I'm going to fill that with 1/4 inch material. It would have been great if I would have marked it before I put the plywood on, put a piece on there and made marks, but now I'll have to figure it out and make some notches for where the gussets are and all that. But yeah, I'm sort of working on planning how I'm going to do that, and basically on rib number 2 on the top surface, I'm going to put a piece of 16th inch plywood, sort of a cap strip on there, and then the RS17 1/4 inch material will actually go underneath that cap strip. And what I'll end up with when I'm done is basically a 16th inch plywood boundary all the way around, and then I'll be able to take my 16th inch piece of Lexan, and that'll recess down into that 16th inch boundary, and we will be able to make sure that our cover for our fuel tank is actually nice and flush with the surface of the wing that way. And so that'll be the next thing I'll have to do, is I want to get this piece in while the wing's upside down. And the other thing I did today is I just put these gussets here in place. So there were a few of those that I needed to do on the bottom, and yeah, this actually went pretty good. You probably saw in the video there was a little bit of a struggle bus at first, kind of getting that piece on, but I kind of know now how I want to do it. So the next leading edge piece should go a lot smoother. And yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with me, checking out the video. And if you're not a subscriber, I invite you to hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you don't miss any of these. And yeah, I'll catch you later.